Hello, it's day one of OWLS. I'm in bed, it's 8 o'clock. I am so tired from today. I did go into work. I only have to go in once a week. I just have to print stuff to kind of like bring home to do. So I went into work, came home around 2, have just finished dinner. My boyfriend is in the living room playing video games. But I really want to like get started on OWLS. So I'm going to be reading Elantris. I have to read 18 and a half pages every day in order to finish this by the end of the month because it is like almost 500 pages. It's like 550 pages, which isn't a lot, but the writing is super small. I don't know if you can see that. It's really tiny. So my plan is just to read 18 and a half pages minimum a day. I know there are going to be some days where I read more or read less, but that is the plan in order to finish this. I am also going to start The Looking Glass Wars by Frank Bador. I'm just going to read my like minimum 20 pages and then get into this. I am really excited. I remember really loving this. So I hope it's still great. I hope it's a quick and easy read. So let's get started. Hi guys, it's day 2 of the Magical Readathon. I just wanted to update you on my reading from last night. I got to page 50, which is chapter 3. I am really liking it so far. We have gotten introduced to our 2 main characters and kind of a little bit of where the story is going to be going. I really like both of them. In the first chapter, we meet Rodin, who is the prince of Arlen. He contracts like this disease that used to be actually something good, but now it basically turns people into zombies. So he's been secretly banished to Elantris, which is the title of our book, which was this like really great kingdom that used to be like where everybody wanted to go. And now it's basically just a holding cell for the people who have gone through the Shade, which used to turn people into like these silver hair goddesses and now brings about the curse. Since he is the king's son and the king didn't want to like bring shame onto his name, he very like secretly put his son in Elantris and basically made it seem like he had died. And in the second chapter, we meet who was meant to be Raiden's wife. She just spent 5 days traveling from her hometown to Arlen, and when she gets there, she's let know the bad news that her husband has passed away, and she's getting there on the night that they're supposed to be holding his like vigil and cremation ceremony, but she's kind of suspicious. The king and queen aren't acting like they're in mourning, and everything just seems to like put on. So she thinks that something's up, and I'm really looking forward to where this is going to go. I'm liking it a lot more than I thought that I was. The writing, like the text is really small, but the writing style is really easy. And I'm about to go on lunch, so I'm hoping to read a little bit more. I didn't read any of Looking Glass Wars because just getting through these 2 chapters did take me like an hour, and then by the time I was done, I was really tired, so I ended up just going to sleep. But hopefully I can read some of that tonight. I only had to read 18 and a half pages yesterday, and I did 50, so I'm like 3 days ahead. And honestly, I think if I really dedicate myself, I might be able to just get through this weekend. No promises. It really depends on where the rest of the story goes, but I'm about to go on lunch, So hopefully I can get through. Good morning. It's Sunday. It is the last day of week 1 for the Magical Readathon. So I have reading updates. On like Thursday or Friday, I really thought I was going to finish Elantris this week, and that's definitely not going to happen. Not because I don't like the book, but it is almost like 600 pages long, and first, the text is really small. I'm only like 8 chapters in, I think 106 pages. Some of the chapters are like 30 pages long. They feel that long, really, but each chapter just has so much information about the characters, about who they are and who they're going to be. We're getting a lot of insight from Serene on who the king is. Basically, when Elantris fell, he was the highest ranking person in their area. He was head of the like Merchants Association Guild or whatever. So people put him in charge. So it wasn't that he was from a royal bloodline. He didn't grow up spending his entire life preparing to be a king. He wasn't elected because of like anything great. It was just like, this is the guy who's our most high-ranking person, so we're gonna make him king. Totally just is still a merchant, even though he's a king. He's focused on the things he shouldn't be focused on. We've been introduced to this character who is a high priest, who is there because he's been given a message by his king. So he's from a different country, O.W.L.S, and I never know if I'm saying that right, the F and the J, but that's just how I say it. He's from O.W.L. It's an empire. Their king is said to have received a message from Jadeth, who is like their almighty god, that in 3 months' time, if Arlen is not converted to, you know, his religion or whatever, then he's gonna go in and wipe them all out. So the priest is there to try and convert them. He goes and he speaks to the king, and the king's like, look, I really don't care about religion. You want to convert my people, convert my people. I don't care, leave me alone. So the high priest, the Gjorn, is basically like, okay, I tried this one time to talk to the king. He didn't listen. Gonna convert his people and overthrow him, which Serene sees. She sees the like fervor in this guy, and she understands how he thinks in a way that the king doesn't. So she is gonna keep an eye on him. She senses the trouble there, and that's just kind of how it is. It's like every time she speaks, she's just revealing little things about people that I'm like, that's gonna be super important later. That's gonna be their downfall. So I'm reading like a chapter, half a chapter at a time, absorbing the information. I'm 106 pages in, still so intrigued. I'm gonna read a chapter in a little bit. I'm working on my bullet journal right now. I'm doing not full 2-page spreads because I'm really not doing anything. I'm going to work. I'm like doing stuff on the weekends, sort of. Yesterday I went to go get my oil changed at my boyfriend's parents' house. My boyfriend's dad had my boyfriend wash my car, and they waxed it. They put like spray on the tires. He said he was like, what else do I have to do? I'm quarantined. Like, not quarantined, but they're stuck at the house. So he was like, I don't care, I'll do it. But it just was really, really sweet to me and made me super uncomfortable because I was like, I didn't ask for you to do this. But it was okay because I made cinnamon bread, which I'll put a picture here. Did not look anything like the picture, but it turned out really good, and I left some for him. So I'm like, at least I brought some sort of like cooking dish that you can have some of as payment for doing all of this for me. It was just really nice, and I felt like touched. He's a very, very quiet man. He doesn't speak a lot. So that's kind of like his actions of like liking me, I guess, doing stuff like this for me, which was really, really nice. But it's stuff like that, like I'm really not leaving the house for anything, so I don't need full 2-page spreads. My weekends are the busiest, so those are the ones that I'm having the biggest boxes for, because like today I need to clean the kitchen from all of my baking yesterday. I want to wash our sheets and comforter, but I feel like the moms that live in our apartment complex kind of are probably doing laundry today, so I might wait until tomorrow. I want to read a little bit more. I did read like 60 or 70 pages of the Monsters of Morley Manor. Wow, that's a terrible lighting. I did read like 60 pages of that last night. It's definitely a book that if I sat down for like an hour and a half to 2 hours, I could finish today, but it's for herbology, which is for my Mer People linguistics, so it's not one of my 5 main books, but I feel like finishing it today will make me feel better about at least having finished something during this first week. So I am just gonna finish up my bullet journal right now, read a little bit, clean up the kitchen like I said, and I will update you guys later.
Food service still working, providing food for people. Anybody that has to work, still thank you for your service. That sucks. It's a tough time, especially for those out there.
Hey guys, I just finished the Monsters of Morley Manor. On Compile, it's a 3-star. I kind of feel like it was a 4-star. I'm talking quietly because my boyfriend is in the bedroom. I really enjoyed it. It was kind of weird. The premise is that this kid and his sister go to this like creepy manor that's down the street from them that's supposed to be knocked down, and they find this box that he can't open but that he thinks he can use for like his baseball cards or something. So he buys it and they go home and he opens it and there are all these tiny little figurines of monsters, and one of them accidentally gets wet and he notices the hand moving, so him and his sister dunk all of them in the water and they find out that they are like people who have transformed themselves into monsters, and one of the monsters, Gaspar, said that they were frozen, they were shrunk and frozen by his twin brother, and the house is supposed to be getting torn down like the very next day, so they have to break into the manor and unshrink themselves, and they find out that like his brother actually isn't his brother. He like fell into this hole and disappeared for a while when he was younger and came back like a couple hours later, but the version of him that came back was actually a clone that these aliens sent to try to like figure out how Earth worked and whether or not it was worth taking over. It's really, really wild. Makes no sense at all. Literally nothing. The writing style was super weird. I don't know if the guy is foreign or something, but some of the sentences were like flipped, which if you speak a foreign language, especially like Spanish, the way that you put together Spanish sentences is backwards. So when you translate it, it would be backwards. So you would say, I'm not even going to try to speak in Spanish, but that's how it is. Like here you would say like the house of flowers, there you would say flowers of the house or something like that, and that's kind of like how his words were. It was like it had been written in a foreign language and then translated into English, but left in like the literal form. So some of the sentences made no sense and I had to read them 2 or 3 times to kind of figure out what the author was really saying, and it just really made no sense at all, but I still thought it was a fun read. So personally, I gave it 4 stars. I think it was like a high 3 stars on Compile. I'm just gonna leave it as that because I did my honest ratings. There was no logic to it. The writing was weird. The characters were okay. I had like a good enjoyment of it. And I'm glad that I still enjoyed it, that because it was like one of my favorite books from when I was a kid. And this is my first middle grade book of the year, my first book from a male author, and my first 3-star book. So my Compile stats are starting to look kind of fun and different. But yeah, I finished a book. That's my first one. It's not one of my 5 main books, but it is the one book that I needed to read outside of my 5 main books for Mer People linguistics. So if I can manage to read the other 2, which I think were arithmancy and transfigurations, then I will have completed my Mer People linguistics. So I am gonna go to bed now. I have work tomorrow. I'm working from home, so it's really not that big of a deal, but I still have to get up pretty early and start at 7:30. So I hope your first week of OWLS went well. I mean, I managed to finish one book, even though it wasn't one of my main ones. But it was still a good read. I think I'm going to read a little bit of Elantris before I go to sleep, like 120 pages in now. Let me know down below what you're reading, what your career is, if you're even participating, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.